Yes, I think, all right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Central New York Community Foundation's Participatory Budgeting Project within Madison County. If we could put the slide deck up, that would be great. We're very excited tonight as we have our presentations from the Rural Health Council of Madison County and the Community Action Partnerships of Madison County. Before we begin, want to get started with a few things. Next slide. This is our message from, oh, nope, we need to go to slide 45. Yeah, that's for tomorrow night. There we go. Perfect. All right. So there's a few things we're going to do this evening. We're going to listen to two proposals. Really want you to make sure you're taking in all the details and thoughtfully thinking about some questions that you may want to ask the presenters. And then tomorrow, the hope is that you will do your vote either online or in person, and we'll get to that in a few more slides. Next slide, please. To set the tone, here's a couple of things I just want everyone to be mindful of, that this is space where we share ideas and we respect different views and different ideas and thoughts. So again, asking for you to do reflective listening, respectfully share, value and consider different points of views and perspectives, and step away and take care of yourself if you need to do that. We will be keeping everyone on mute just so we don't have any crosstalk, and there will be opportunities to ask questions and place those in the chat. We have my colleague, Paris Babers, and we have my community engagement ambassador, Mawadi, who will also be fielding the chat for those questions. Next slide. All right, so why participatory budgeting? Well, some of you may have heard or know that the Central New York Community Foundation is turning 100 years old, and that's no small feat in any measure. We've been through a lot of different changes moving forward in our values, working with donors, working with residents, working with nonprofits, all to make our communities better. We are in 5 different counties, and as a part of our celebration for our Centennial, we are doing a participatory budgeting project, investing in each of our counties' footprints. But what we're doing a little bit differently, if you don't know about what PB is we're asking the residents to decide how to invest 75K within their communities. So you are a part of this history and a part of this celebration. Next slide. So PB is a co-design process with residents. As I mentioned before, we had 2 sessions prior at the beginning of this month where Madison County residents decided the priority area that they wanted to invest 75K, and then they co-designed project criteria, and then we put out a call for letters of interest whereby 2 nonprofits within Madison County had responded. And so tonight is the 3rd part of this process where you'll hear those presentations, and then tomorrow you will decide which one of those organizations will be the lucky winners of our PB project. Next slide, please. So residents gathered at the beginning of this month, and the priority area that they settled on was increasing housing stability for families, more specifically, families who don't necessarily qualify for the social safety nets, such as SNAP or HUD or other social safety nets that help to meet basic needs. And these families are identified as asset limited, employed constrained. I might have messed that all up, but they are families that are being considered for this particular project because their income may be just a little bit above, which makes it difficult for them to access other resources to maintain stability within their homes. The rationale that the residents came up with is to prevent evictions or foreclosures or children ending up in foster care systems. And so this is why they decided a preventative measure rather than an intervention measure. Could I have the next slide? So our presenters this evening, we have the Executive Director, Christine Paul from Rural Health of Madison County, who will be going first. And the second presenter will be William Nicholson, the Executive Director of Community Action Partnership for Madison County. So here's the project summary, which I will not read because I'm going to let Christina go ahead and do the presentation. If you will, Christina, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Can everybody see my slide okay?
Yes.
Okay. So good evening and thank you for the opportunity to be here. As Kiana said, my name is Christine Paul. I'm the Executive Director for Madison County Rural Health Council. The Rural Health Council was established in 2013. Madison County Rural Health Council is a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to improve the health of our communities by advocating, educating, and coordinating services for individuals and families. Over the years, we have worked alongside community partners to address a variety of social determinants of health, and one issue continues to rise to the forefront: housing stability. We recognize that housing is far more than having a roof over our heads. It's a foundation for health, financial security, educational success, and overall well-being. When individuals and families have stable housing, they are better able to access health care, maintain employment, support housing, and I said that wrong, I apologize, maintain employment, support their children's education, and build stronger, healthier futures. As a member of the Housing Collaborative of Madison County, and with the work of our housing coordinator and social care navigators, we have witnessed firsthand the growing challenges families face as housing costs continue to outpace wages. Too many households are one unexpected expense away from housing instability or homelessness. So today we're excited to share our vision for a housing stability and financial empowerment program designed to help families remain safely housed, strengthen financial resilience, and connect residents with the resources they need to achieve long-term stability. Our key message is simple: by combining emergency financial assistance with education, resource navigation, and community partnerships, we can help working families remain safely housed, strengthen their financial stability, and build a healthier Madison County. So the program and mission and the core principle: building housing stability, strengthening families, and creating healthier communities. Stable housing is one of the most important social determinants of health. By combining emergency financial assistance, financial education, resource navigation, and strong community partnerships, we can help working families remain safely housed and strengthen the financial stability, and as I mentioned, build a healthier Madison County. So people might ask, who are our ALICE households? Asset limited, income constrained, employed, hardworking families earning above poverty but still struggling to afford the basic needs of housing, childcare, transportation, healthcare, and just the simple basic necessities. ALICE households are one emergency away from losing a stability of housing. Some of the housing challenges in Madison County are the rising house costs, wages not keeping pace, unexpected emergencies threatening stability, and many households ineligible for traditional assistance. Some of the problems that are addressed are the medical bills, reduced work hours, car repairs, and especially utility increases. With our program and overview, our goal is to prevent homelessness before it occurs by stabilizing housing for working families within Madison County. The core components would be emergency rent or mortgage assistance, budgeting, and financial coaching, and financial literacy education. Supporting services, we have resource navigation and referrals, life needs assessment offered through CMY Community Foundation, and we will do a 30 and 60-day follow-up of support to make sure people are reaching their financial literacy education goals and budgeting. So the 7-step pathway to stability would be initially doing a referral and application and getting those received, eligibility screening using ALICE guidelines, the life needs assessment would be completed, emergency housing assistance provided, financial literacy and budgeting support, community resource connections, and again, 30 and 60-day follow-ups. Using our community partners, such as the Housing Collaborative of Madison County, United Way of Mid-Rural New York, Caring Kitchen, Mohawk Valley COC, local libraries and schools, healthcare providers, different employers, financial institutes, DSS, and 211, to name a few. With the budget allocation breakdown, as you'd notice, 80% of all funding would go directly back to the community for the housing assistance. We would use some of that for financial literacy materials, outreach and education, and evaluation and tracking. So with that, some of the outcomes. Household serves, we would hope to serve between 40 and 50 households assisted with emergency housing and financial coaching support. 35 evictions or housing losses prevented through the timely intervention. 100% complete life needs assessment, 100% receive financial literacy support, and community resource referrals. Assistance distributed referrals complete with a geographic reach across Madison County, and again, a 30 and 60-day follow-up for outcomes and satisfaction. So the impact that this program would provide to our community is to prevent evictions and keep working families securely in their homes before a crisis occurs, strengthen financial stability and reduce vulnerability to future housing emergencies. We're hoping with the financial education and the budgeting that would be very helpful. And improve health outcomes, prevent costly crisis, and build stronger community partnerships across Madison County. And again, we appreciate your time.
Thank you, Christine. And now we can take some questions in the chat for this proposal from Rural Health Council of Madison County. Thank you so much. So please don't be shy in putting your questions in the chat. Paris and Mawadi will tag team to get those questions answered. And maybe I could kick us off a little bit. So Christine, just thinking about this program, and as many people may not know, the foundation, this is kind of a one and done just with our PB Centennial. So what are some of your thoughts or ideas to sustain the program and keep it going?
So we're hoping with the information that we obtain from the evaluations that we'll be able to do more budgeting for individuals, as well as be able to look for other grant funds that can help support the community.
And we have a question in the chat, which is, how many families is it projected to help?
We're hoping to help between 40 and 50 households.
We have another question from the chat, and that is, will most of the people who will be helped renting or?
You cut out on me, I'm sorry, but it would be for both, but I would be more apt to help individuals that have a mortgage to be able to help them stay in their homes due to the limited availability of housing in the county would be my priority.
And the next question is, will the program include home visits, issue assistance or loans, issue assistance as loans or not grants?
So home visits, we would not be doing. We would go out to people's homes if they were unable to get to us, we'd definitely do that to do the application process. We are not looking at it as a loan at this point in time, because if people are coming to us, they don't have the financial means to pay back, but we would look at the budgeting piece and include a section per se, if they're in a better spot in a year, 6 months, that maybe they could donate back to our agency to keep this program going.
Another question from the chat is, how would people know to apply to you, and how do you identify people who don't know about you?
We would do social media. We would market through outreach, different educational materials, and word of mouth usually goes a long way as well. So we would promote the best we could. We could potentially do billboards, all of those things.
There's plenty of questions. We got a good amount left, so just peppering them at you now. The next question is about how much of Madison County is considered Alice.
I do not have an accurate answer for that, but I could get that and provide it out in an email.
Gotcha.
I know I had spoke with, the United Way of Mid-Rural New York does have a lot of data on that. So I can gather that from them and try to share that with everyone.
Another question is, would there be any possibility of helping individuals, or is it strictly going to be families?
It would definitely be for individuals and families, depending on their situation. And each situation or application, it would be a case-by-case basis, depending on what their needs are.
And 2 more questions so far. Financial literacy should help. However, if they remain in the same jobs that have them in the Alice space, they may still struggle. Is there a workforce partner that you guys collaborate with?
So we do a lot of work with the workforce as far as transportation and needs within the community, so we can collaborate with them for this. The other piece with the financial literacy, I think, would help the budgeting aspect of things, to see where they're at, where they might be spending monies, and how we can clean up their budget possibly and help them in that way. So even being in the Alice population, they might have a better means to be able to stay where they're at and be stronger with their own budgeting.
Our last question so far is, I'm interested to know if there's a clearer picture of what types of financial literacy programs your agency has in mind for your Alice individuals and families who are likely already stretched for time and definitely resources. How can they be reached in a way that educates without taking their time to work and raise children?
So we do have, as I mentioned, a partnership with the United Way of Mid-Rural New York, and one of the individuals is certified with the financial literacy piece that has offered to help assist. That being said, we can work around individual schedules. So it could possibly be, meeting in a library, meeting at a coffee shop, meeting over the phone. Within their schedule, we could do nights, weekends, afternoon. So we could definitely work with the individuals.
We have 2 more questions in the chat. The next one is, how does this differ from other programs?
I would say that it gives an opportunity to assist individuals within Madison County in a different way as far as offering budgeting aspects, the financial literacy piece, and being able to support an individual without having to stress them out, knowing that they'd have to pay it back right now. I think it's just a program that overall could really help with the housing instability that we have right now and the crisis.
We have another question that says, sorry if I missed this detail. Is it possible that these funds can follow grant requirements while supplementing an existing Alice program so that it doesn't deplete right away?
I think with the application process, as I mentioned, it would be a case-by-case situation depending on the needs. We would put a cap on the amount that individuals are able to get. Maximum amount would probably, we have talked about it, be about $2,000. In some cases may only be somebody needing only $500. So we would try to make it as sustainable as possible to keep it going as long as possible. And if we were able to help more than, 40 to 50 households, we definitely do that.
Awesome. We have final two questions. I'm going to flip-flop them because one of them seems very quick. Where are your offices located within the county?
Our office is located on Route 20 in Cazenovia.
Awesome. And then the last question is there a target amount of financial assistance planned per household?
A target amount of financial assistance. I think, as I mentioned, we would cap at about $2,000, hoping that, as I said, case-by-case situations, if someone needed a little more, obviously we would move forward and help them. And some people might need a little less.
Thank you, Christine. That was a lot of tough questions. And thank you everyone for asking the questions. Could we give Christine just a round of applause again for this presentation, please? Thank you. And now we have William Nicholson up from the Community Action Partnership of Madison County. William, take it away.
Thank you very much, Kiana. As I'm getting my screen share together, please just tell me if you can see it. And if you can see it full screen, that would be terrific. We're good. Okay, again, my name is William Nicholson. I'm the Executive Director of Community Action Partnership for Madison County, and I would just like to begin by saying thank you very much to the Central New York Community Foundation, first of all, for creating this opportunity. And second, I would like to specifically thank the friends, colleagues, and residents who are not only on this call, but who engaged with the listening sessions to produce such a detailed and specific request for a gap-filling service. And I would also thirdly like to thank Christine and the Rural Health Council for generating a plan and for already being an active partner in doing this work. So I want to thank them. So in any case, here we are, the Community Action Partnership for Madison County. We are a nonprofit celebrating our 40th year in service, incorporated in 1986. We are one of a national network of over 1,000 organizations specifically tasked with breaking the cycle of poverty in America through programs that build resilience for individuals, families, and communities. One of the very first services we offered was a housing assistance program providing transitional apartments in Morrisville, where our fiscal department offices are located today. Born of the progressive era of the mid to late 1960s and the Economic Opportunity Act of 1964, the Community Action Network of providers is built upon the premise of maximum feasible participation, wherein communities most impacted by poverty and its effects are most directly involved in developing solutions, including providing leadership to service organizations, which is why a participatory budgeting process is so compelling for us. The tripartite board of directors is what makes a community action agency very unique, and that is due to the fact that every CAP agency is led by a board that is made up of 1/3 representatives from the low-income community served, 1/3 of elected officials, and the remainder from the private sector. This governance structure ensures that program and policy decisions are informed directly by the communities served, with maximum accountability, responsiveness, and transparency. The needs of the ALICE households, the asset limited income constrained and employed, formerly known as the working poor, the needs of the ALICE households has been a recurring theme at our board, leadership, and management level of this agency for quite some time. So the current status of need and why this request for proposals was so compelling for us is that year after year we know through data-driven needs analyses that housing cost burdens are the topmost concern for our community alongside transportation, food security, childcare, and access to quality health care. Day after day in our work, we encounter families facing the toughest decisions. Which household expense to forego in order to make rent, or whether to fix the vehicle or refill the heating oil, and so on. Many families, as noted previously, find themselves just beyond the eligibility criteria for existing programs and are left to their own devices to solve the immediate crisis or wait until things devolve enough to become financially eligible for other entitlement programs. In 2024, there were over 7,000 of these ALICE households in Madison County. So again, how do we know this? So at the Community Action Partnership, through a centralized intake process, our agency is able to address multiple needs with minimal administrative burden on families, establishing income eligibility for multiple programs and other qualifying information such as the household composition. By identifying eligibility for multiple programs at the initial contact, it brings services into the picture more quickly with a whole family, intergenerational approach to supportive services. One thing of note, as was previously mentioned, one of the goals of this initiative is to prevent foster placement and child removals and disruptions to families. One of the things we find in our data is who is the typical household we've been meeting at our door seeking eviction prevention services. And it is a single female-led household of 3, a single female-led household with 2 children. And so this is where, in this part of our process, this is where the ALICE household is identified and is usually frustrated by the shortage of assistance programs available to them. We're also a social care network provider able to identify this option for those deemed ineligible for other Medicaid-funded supports. So, what's our experience serving this specific need? Well, for the past few years, we have partnered with our United Way organization to provide eviction prevention supports to ALICE households in need. However, having said that, these programs have been conservatively funded at between $7,000 to $9,000 per year, which, although important, impactful, and helpful, is typically expended very quickly. We have also administered first-time homebuyer assistance programs in the past, helping establish some crucial equity for developing long-term financial resilience for households in Madison County. We currently administer a home repair program now, continuing to add to the palette of options to keep households intact and reduce disruptions. So how is Community Action Partnership positioned to respond further? Due to our existing services infrastructure, including our outreach personnel and fiscal management in place now, we're extremely well positioned to expand this prevention service in a significant way to meet this growing need for housing stabilization for working families. We're a data-driven organization familiar with all necessary tools and approaches to guarantee maximum return on investment for any grant received. And we do have a long history of providing housing supports in the community. We've been working in this domain from the very beginning, and we do have long-standing relationships with landlords and other service providers, which is often very crucial for negotiating solutions that work. So how do we engage with the community served? So again, in addition to the tripartite board structure, by governing statute, the Federal Community Services Block Grant, we're required to conduct routine community needs assessments directed specifically to low-income communities in our county. Through coordinated focus groups in person, targeted surveys, and other secondary data analysis, themes are identified to highlight gaps in services to address specified needs. Again, the 37% of ALICE households in Madison County got its own section in this previous year's needs assessment. Through a statutorily mandated ROMA cycle analysis, a results-oriented management and accountability structure, these themes are integrated into agency strategic planning, articulating where services must be developed to or enhanced to meet identified gaps. So again, with housing topping the chart in terms of gaps in services and highest level of intense need in Madison County, we have several programs that meet the housing crisis. I like to quote the old African proverb about 3 blind men touching an elephant. We touch all parts of the elephant here at CAP, and so we do have strategies to end and prevent homelessness, which is a case management including service to help folks who are facing imminent homelessness. We have transitional apartments that we own and administer, which provides temporary emergency housing with wraparound services to families in a homeless crisis. We have 2 continuum of care programs that we administer now, which is again direct homelessness assistance with intensive case management. We have the aforementioned home repair program called Healthy at Home to improve the environmental health and safety of households now. We have Burke Landing, which is where we provide permanent supportive housing with services in place in Cazenovia. We have our temporary and one-time housing financial assistance programs where we'll provide rent, security deposits, sometimes mortgage payments, utilities. And then we have the previously mentioned eviction prevention program, which is a financial support to halt evictions. And this particularly is where we would like to expand the impact of that program with the CNY Community Foundation support. And then a tenant-based rental assistance program, which is longer-term rental assistance for income-eligible households. So a number of different services helping stabilize housing for folks in Madison County. And then in development now, we have a new program, which is a tiny homes project, a cluster of 4 tiny homes to increase the available emergency temporary transitional housing options located at our Canastota site adjacent to our program offices. And worth noting, this is enabled by opioid settlement funding administered through Madison County Mental Health with support from New York State and a Good Neighbor grant from the St. Thomas's Church in Hamilton. So I thank you very much for this opportunity to share. My contact information is here along with the Temporary Services Program Director who would be administering the eviction prevention program for Alice households. And I am delighted to know that there is going to be question and answer time. So if we're good, I can stop sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, William. And I know you're on vacation, and so I had to say that because that's commitment to join us and to provide that very thorough proposal. And so now we will take questions in the chat. And again, Paris and Mawadi will ping pong. So I noticed that there is already a question in there, I think from Sarah.
Yep. So the first question is the plan to use this grant to supplement the eviction prevention program CAP currently offers?
So yes, and so we have a few different programs that do support eviction prevention. Some of them are have strict eligibility requirements that many Alice households we encounter would not meet. However, like I mentioned, with our United Way partner, we have been administering a small grant funded program year, but for the last few years, that this project would greatly expand the amount of impact of that service. So yes, we will also continue to provide the other eviction prevention services.
We have another question from Colleen, and that question is your eviction prevention program a loan or a grant for applicants? And follow up to that, what is the funds limit per household? How many households can be added?
Yep, so thank you for that. So our intention is to set this up as a revolving fund to provide zero interest loans for people repayable up to 3 years. Again, if awarded, we would like to hash out some contingency plans for people who might, not make that deadline and might be able to extend further. To the question of how much, we're looking at up to 3 months of arrears. And something that really has been revealed to us in our work is we've encountered households that are not eligible for the eviction programs that we have typically, and our homeowners who have, through increased assessed values, bore the sticker shock of a raise in their property taxes, which they had not budgeted for or on a fixed income. So in those cases, we've had to be very, very creative with working. We have trained facilitators who do, enrollments and application encounters with everyone who comes through our door. And we've previously been able to come to creative solutions to prevent foreclosures for folks by working with their budget to find other assistance we could maybe provide. Maybe we could provide a utility payment. Maybe we can help them budget towards the back taxes by prepaying utility costs if it's heating oil and such. So that's one of the things we've done in the past.
Great. And just to follow up on, it was a three-part question, so apologies, but the last one was how many households could be aided?
So we would like to see, similarly, data tells us we would like to see somewhere between about 48. I mean, that's specific, but 48, somewhere around 50 is who we would like to see. We do know that, there's 150 to 200 evictions recorded in Madison County per year. And we know through our experience that a significant percentage of those would be Alice households not eligible for our existing programs. So we found that 48 to be a good target. And again, through our temporary assistance programs now that provide the one-time assistance requests, in the last 18 months alone through our temporary assistance programs, we prevented 153 evictions and 2 foreclosures and 148 utility shutoffs, while also providing 569 financial resilience counseling sessions. So again, with greater than 30% of Madison County households below the Alice threshold in 2024, our trained and experienced caseworkers are ready on day one to implement this project.
Gotcha. And the next question comes from Anne. How do you make your programs known to the Alice populations, and how do they find you?
Yeah, so, outreach and engagement is a perpetual project, of course. And so we know that there is granular data available from United Way, and we already know where the primary zip codes are. So through a combination of, part of our budget would go to physical mail, physical outreach, including and then as well the existing, digital and other shared, free media, so to speak. And it would be our goal to utilize public spaces in our target areas to set up information sessions. Be in the community, offer a couple hours on an afternoon or an evening at the public library to present this new option.
A question from Bill was, do you have a workforce partner?
So Working Solutions in Madison County, we are a referral hub at the Community Action Program, and we do, but in terms of specific work readiness programs of our own, we don't. We work with Working Solutions.
Apologies if this is a repeat, but how do Alice families find you? That's the next question.
Well, we have to advertise, for one. This is a very important, year after year when we analyze who we serve and who we can't serve because of eligibility requirements and the gap that, each presenter rightly identified. This is just the state of things at this point where entitlement programs have such severe income limitations that, like we have all mentioned, the options have been to allow a situation or crisis to devolve enough to become eligible for more emergency service. And so, that's where we've been working. That's been our domain for a long time. So we would have to do concerted, careful, and conscious outreach to introduce a new option to the community, which we're happy to do. We have a lot of experience doing this as a community action agency. We, year after year, add some program, maybe lose another, but this is what we do.
I think we have 2 questions that pertain to the previous presentation, so I'm going to go ahead and read the question from Sarah. And that is, I think I remember that Madison County PB participants stipulated that programs should include a financial literacy component. If that still stands, could you speak to how your agency intends to provide education or workforce development opportunities to recipients?
So this is directed to me? Yeah, okay, thank you. So again, our trained enrollment facilitators are financial, do budgeting and training and working with folks in a trauma-informed way, strength-based approach. This is what they've been trained to do, meeting people in what is really not their best moment, and rather than dictating solutions, working side by side and thinking side by side to develop strategies to get through the crisis of the day. This opportunity here would allow for us to simply expand that to a broader population.
Someone listed as owner, I think was attempting to finish the question. If you could clarify your question so we'd have a better understanding.
How much?
Yeah.
If it's a question about our physical locations, we do have administrative offices where we provide services in Canastota, in the city of Oneida, in Morrisville, and then we have WIC offices in Herkimer, Rome, and Utica, which are outside the county, but also an WIC office in Oneida as well. So any and all of those touch points for us are able to be, brought into the central intake process. So outreach in the north. So we actually have a facility where we do events in Cazenovia. We have our supportive housing site in Cazenovia with a community room where we're able to provide very open to the public events, opportunities. So we've been doing that. Again, my office is in Canastota, which is pretty north. And then again, city of Oneida. I hope that answered the question. Okay, is a financial literacy component required? I certainly feel that the less restrictive requirements that you can put on a family in crisis, the better. What we want is to be impactful. We don't want to be authoritarian or right. We want to be effective. So I would contemplate not making it a requirement. I would simply make it a natural part of the enrollment process, which is how we kind of do business now in our temporary programs.
Okay. Are there any other, here he goes, another question here.
Bridgeport. Okay, great. Yes. So like I said, my goal for outreach, and we love our public libraries. So we currently provide material assistance to folks experiencing street homelessness now throughout the public library system. So I know the Bridgeport Library is a great one because I go there all the time. So, and they're very friendly to us providing resources to the public there. So I think in that part of the county, absolutely. We love our public libraries, and so they're a great asset for us to reach the corners that are a little off the beaten path for our day-to-day work.
Are there any other questions that we may have missed before we wrap it up and give you the information for the fourth session? Any other questions for William? Okay.
Well, thank you very much. I'm going to mute myself
Thank you.
now.
Thank you, William. Can we all give William a round of applause? Fielded a lot of questions there as well. Thank you to both of our presenters. We're very excited. You will be on the ballot starting tomorrow at 9 a.m. And if we could, Paris, there we go, that's it. So the polls will open online tomorrow at 9 a.m. So you can go online, and there's one or two ways that you can do your vote. You can send us an email to get a special code, and you will only be able to use code once, and or you can get an SMS or a text message using your cell phone. We do not collect any of this data, neither does the Stanford University PB project. They toss all of this out once the election is completed. So you only need to be 14 years old, and you need to live within Madison County. So when you do put in your information, it's going to either ask for that text number to send you your code, and or you can email us and we will give you a code. You can do in-person voting at the Smithfield, Community Center, which is in Peterborough. We would love to have you come celebrate with us. There will be food and some fun activities and some giveaways while we have a lead up and, anticipation to making the announcement of the election. And so we hope to see you there. You can join us there. Also, in the in-person voting is from 5 to 7 p.m. and we will have our Chromebooks and we will have a number of our staff on hand to help assist people if they want to vote in person. You can register now if you want to attend in person. We'd love to have you. Even if you vote online, you can still come and celebrate with us by using this QR code here. So please push out the information, get as many of your Madison County neighbors and family to join us tomorrow for the voting and celebration night. And with that, we thank you for attending and taking time out of your busy schedules to hear our presenters this evening and being part of this process. Thank you. Have a good night.